Hello and welcome to the Bell Tower on 34th Prom Planning video. Congratulations on selecting our venue for your event. We created this video to guide you through the planning process and to help you bypass potential challenges along the way. From what we've seen over the years, arranging a prom with an events venue calls for far more strategic planning, clear communication, and assertive leadership than most people would expect. Here's what I mean. In many cases, a disconnect occurs between the faculty sponsor who signs a contract with us, the student committee members who handle planning, and administrative decision makers necessary to make the students' plans materialize. As a result, the planning process becomes more complicated than it should be. Not only that, few faculty sponsors are fully acquainted with the numerous steps that they'll need to make simply to make our required payments on time. In many cases, generating checks involves 5 or 6 steps, each dependent on a different person to keep it moving. Those steps could include filling out forms and ensuring district and local requirements are being met for your event, getting a campus or district administrator to approve the necessary payments, getting purchase orders and/or invoices generated, getting checks issued, getting checks signed, getting checks delivered to us. You may be thinking, well, the venue will get their money eventually. It will all work out. It doesn't work that way. When payments aren't made on time, event planning comes to a complete standstill. And in some cases, I've even had to call principals and tell them there will be no prom. It's not that we're unsympathetic. We're simply running a business. What we really want to do is provide an awesome prom for you and your students. That's why we created this video. One of the first things you should prepare for is paying your deposit when the event contract is signed. We understand the challenges of generating funds for your event before you've had a chance to sell prom tickets. We understand, but we can't turn away other paying customers and hold a date for you without a deposit. From there, we need a 50% of the remaining balance 90 days before the prom and the rest of the balance 30 days before the event. Prom organizers who recognize the potential obstacles they face and plan for them are the ones most likely to see success and avoid headaches. If you've agreed to be our point of contact, please make yourself acutely aware of the right buttons to push and levers to pull to make a check pop out when it's needed, and how much time you'll need to make it happen. Here are a few questions to ask yourself. Will the district require an invoice or payment order? Let us know early. Find out who requests checks, who writes them, who signs them, and who distributes them. Be prepared to monitor each step along the way and know who to talk with if something is holding up the process. So often, faculty sponsors tell us, well, I told my principal we'd need a payment when I saw her in the teacher's lounge last week. Meanwhile, there are still 6 different steps that must be completed before we receive payment, and daily late fees are piling up. That's why the assertive leadership I mentioned is so important. When it comes to the steps required to generate checks for proms, it's almost always necessary to stay on top of each person who plays a role in making them happen. We also encourage you to know what to do if you need to increase your prom guest count or make other changes that could increase your balance. Say you need to add 50 students to the list. You're back to square one with those steps required to generate a check. This can create a significant time crunch, and once again, you'll need to stay on top of the process. Let's look at some of the other things you should keep in mind during prom planning. You should know we have a non-conforming contract. What that means is if your school district's legal department asks about tweaking our contract, please let them know that contract modifications are not an option. Also, we understand that you, your student committee, parents, or administrators may want to visit our venue before or during the planning process. We would love that. All we ask is that you coordinate the visit with us in advance. We can't accommodate unplanned visits and run the risk of interrupting someone else's event. Also, we highly recommend shuttles, ride sharing, Uber, Lyft, taxis, and limousines for proms. With so many people arriving here in a short window of time, it makes for a much smoother in and out if guests can bypass valet parking. Let's talk about photographs. We cannot manage hundreds of students and parents arriving before prom to pose for photos. We strongly encourage schools to line up an event photographer and ask students to work with them. You have been watching the Bell Tower on 34th's prom planning video. If all of this sounds daunting, please don't be discouraged. We do a lot of proms and we do a fantastic job. Schools love us, students love us, and parents love us. There's no hotel overhead and proms are very well done here. We just want to equip you with the information you'll need to bypass potential landmines along the way before they become significant problems and interfere with your prom. We're looking forward to helping you deliver an excellent, unforgettable prom for your students.